National Lampoon's Vacation came out in 1983 and became one of those films that never really left the culture. The Griswold family road trip to Wally World gave us a cast full of unforgettable characters, and some of what happened to them after the cameras stopped is just as entertaining as the movie itself. Let's get into it. Number 1. Chevy Chase as Clark Griswold, the relentlessly optimistic dad whose best intentions always found a way to fall apart. At 39 when Vacation released, Chase was already a household name from his days, helping launch Saturday Night Live back in 1975. Today, he is 82. The charm he gave Clark on screen stood in contrast to a behind-the-scenes reputation that was far less easy to like. A documented physical altercation with Bill Murray in 1978 became one of Hollywood's most retold backstage stories. And in 2012, he was fired from the NBC series Community following an alleged racial slur on set. On the personal side, he married Janie Luke in 1982, just a year before Vacation hit theaters, and they are still together today, having raised 3 daughters and recently become grandparents. In 2026, an authorized documentary called I'm Chevy Chase and You're Not arrived, taking an unfiltered look at his legacy and complicated reputation. Number 2, Beverly D'Angelo as Ellen Griswold, the endlessly patient wife at the center of every disaster the Griswold family managed to create. Before Hollywood found her, Beverly had worked as a professional animator and trained seriously as a singer, which makes her arrival in big-screen comedy feel like a long and winding road. She was 31 during filming and is 74 today. After the movie, and her personal life drew steady attention. She had been married to Italian aristocrat Don Lorenzo Salviati until 1995, then entered a well-publicized relationship with Al Pacino from 1997 to 2003, with the two welcoming twins during those years. Kept working throughout all of it. Her appearance in the 2022 dark comedy Violent Night introduced her to a whole new generation, and she has multiple projects lined up for 2026, including a film called The Prince, plus a documentary connected to her musical background. Number 3. Randy Quaid as Cousin Eddie, the loud, lovable relative nobody invited but absolutely everyone remembers. He already carried serious acting credentials coming into this film, having earned an Oscar nomination for The Last Detail back in 1973. Cousin Eddie was designed as a minor supporting role, but audiences responded to him so enthusiastically that he returned for every sequel in the franchise. Randy was 32 during production and is 75 today. His off-screen story, though, took a dramatic turn. He married Evie Modelanes in 1989, and they remained together. But beginning around 2009, the couple became tabloid fixtures as legal troubles began stacking up. Things escalated to the point where Randy and Evie fled to Canada in 2010, claiming to be targeted by a shadowy group they called the Star Whackers. He has barely appeared on screen since. Number 4. Anthony Michael Hall as Rusty Griswold. The teenage son pulled along for every mile of the family catastrophe. He was only 15 when Vacation filmed, and the confidence he brought to the role at that age is still remarkable to watch. Within 2 years, he had become the face of 1980s teen cinema through his run of John Hughes films, including 16 Candles, The Breakfast Club, and Weird Science. He then deliberately stepped back from those roles rather than get defined by them, a gamble that paid off gradually. In 2017, he pleaded no contest to a misdemeanor assault charge tied to an altercation with a neighbor. He married Lucia Oscarova in 2020, and the couple welcomed their first son, Michael Anthony Hall II, in June 2023. At 58, his career is in the middle of a real resurgence, with a regular role in Season 3 of Amazon's Reacher and a guest spot on Netflix's Wednesday. Number 5. Christy Brinkley as the girl in the Ferrari, the one image in this movie that made Clark Griswold completely forget he was a married man. She was one of the most recognizable faces on the planet when Vacation came out, coming off 3 consecutive Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue covers between 1979 and 1981. Her role was brief, but she needed only a few seconds of screen time to stop the film cold. Christy was 29 at the time of filming and is 72 today. Her personal life brought considerable public attention. She has been married 4 times, with her most talked-about relationships being her decade-long marriage to musician Billy Joel from 1985 to 1994, and her marriage to architect Peter Cook, which ended in a very public 2008 divorce after allegations of Cook's infidelity dominated the tabloids. These days, she runs her Bellissima Prosecco brand and remains a regular presence in the fashion world. Number 6. John Candy as Lasky, on the security guard at Wally World, who shows up in the final minutes and delivers one of the most satisfying endings in comedy history. His warmth on screen never felt like something he had to manufacture. By the time Vacation came out, he was building one of the most beloved comedy filmographies of his generation, with Planes, trains and automobiles, Uncle Buck, and Cool Runnings all still ahead of him. John was 32 on set. He would have turned 75 in 2026, but the world lost him on March 4, 1994, at just 43 years old while on location in Mexico, filming a Western. He married Rosemary Hobor in 1979, and they remained together until the end, raising two children, Jennifer and Christopher. Canada honored him with an induction into the Walk of Fame, and his films continue finding new audiences with every passing decade. Number 7 are Imogene Coca as Aunt Edna, the elderly relative who falls asleep somewhere in Missouri and simply does not wake up. When Vacation filmed, Imogene was already 74 years old, meaning she walked onto that set carrying more than 5 decades of professional experience. She passed away on June 2, 2001, at the age of 92, and would have turned 117 in 2026. Long before Aunt Edna existed, she had helped define the early years of American television, co-starring alongside Sid Caesar on Your Show of Shows through the 1950s, earned her 6 Emmy nominations and a permanent place in the history of live TV comedy. She was married twice, first to Robert Burton until his passing in 1955, and later to actor King Donovan until his death in 1987. She had no children, and she remained active in television and film roles well into her 80s. Number 8, Eugene Levy as the silky car salesman who hands Clark Griswold a station wagon he absolutely did not ask for. Eugene had already built a reputation for precise, deeply funny character work through years with the Second City Ensemble in Toronto before this role came along. The scene is short, but he makes every second land. He was 36 during filming. His personal life has been remarkably steady. He married Deborah Devine in 1977, and as he approaches 80, they are still together, an unusually long run by any measure. Their children, Dan and Sarah Levy, both went into entertainment and have built major careers of their own. Today, Eugene is arguably better known to younger audiences through Schitt's Creek, and in 2024, he co-hosted the Emmy Awards alongside Dan in his Apple TV Plus travel series. The Reluctant Traveler continues to draw strong reviews heading into 2026. Number 9, Jane Krakowski as Cousin Vicky, the wide-eyed relative whose few lines in this movie somehow managed to stay in people's heads for decades. She was just 14 years old when Vacation filmed, and her delivery of certain lines with complete sincerity is exactly what made them land so well. What came next for Jane was a slow, deliberate climb through Broadway, television, and film that eventually earned her Emmy and Tony Award recognition along the way. Now 57, she hosts the game show Name That Tune and received an Olivier Award nomination in 2026 for her stage work. She was previously engaged to designer Robert Godley, with whom she has a son, and has been in a long-term relationship with architect David Rockwell in the years since that engagement ended. Number 10, Brian Doyle Murray as the Camp Comfort clerk, the man who checks the Griswolds into the kind of campsite that makes a family seriously reconsider road trips altogether. There is a version of this movie where that scene is purely a plot stop, just a way to get the family from one location to the next. Brian Doyle Murray made it worth watching. He was 37 at the time, a seasoned comedy writer and performer with deep Saturday Night Live roots, and the older brother of Bill Murray. He is 80 today and still working, most recognizably as the voice of the Flying Dutchman on SpongeBob SquarePants, a role he has been playing for over 2 decades. He married Christina Stauffer in 2000, and they remained together. He also appeared on screen as recently as 2024 in the holiday film The Christmas Letter. Number 11, James Keach as the motorcycle cop, who briefly interrupts the Griswold family chaos somewhere on the open road. He was 35 during production and is 78 today. Most people familiar with his name know it not through his acting work but through his personal life. He was married to actress Jane Seymour from 1993 to 2015, a relationship that played out very publicly before ending in divorce, and they have twin sons together. After stepping back from performing, Keach built a genuinely impressive second career behind the camera as a documentary filmmaker, producing Linda Ronstadt, The Sound of My Voice, and directing the Glenn Campbell documentary I'll Be Me, both of which earned strong critical reception and awards attention. Number 12, Miriam Flynn as Cousin Catherine, the woman who has the misfortune of being related to both the Griswolds and Cousin Eddie at the same time. Miriam was around 31 or 32 during filming, and she made the family dysfunction feel completely lived in, despite limited screen time. Life beyond the set took her deep into voice acting, where she built a career most audiences may never have connected to her face. She has voiced Grandma Longneck across dozens of installments in the Land Before Time animated series, and has turned up in guest roles on sitcoms including The Neighborhood. Now 74, she had been married to director William Porter since 1977, and they raised 2 children together until his passing in 2019. She has continued working steadily in the years since. Number 13. Frank McRae as Grover, or the mechanic who convinces Clark Griswold that the family truckster is exactly the vehicle he needs. Frank brought a physicality and energy to the role that turned what could have been a throwaway scene into something genuinely funny. He was around 39 when filming wrapped, and in the years that followed he carved out a strong supporting career through films like License to Kill and Last Action Hero, before gradually stepping back from the screen in the early 2000s, with his last credited role arriving in 2006. He had been married to Lena Durden since 1964, and they had one son together named Marcellus. Frank McRae passed away on April 29, 2021, at the age of 80, leaving behind a long run of characters that were always larger than their billing suggested. Number 14. Eddie Bracken as Roy Wally, the founder of the theme park that the entire Griswold road trip was built around reaching. There is something perfectly fitting about a man with Bracken's history playing that role. He had been working in American entertainment since the 1930s, moving through radio, Broadway, and Hollywood across a career that spanned more than 6 decades by the time this film came out. He was 68 during filming. He married Connie Nickerson in 1939, and the two remained together for 63 years, raising 5 children until her death in 2002. He passed away just months later, on November 14, 2002, at 87. Before that, he found a whole new audience through Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, and Rookie of the Year, 2 films that reminded younger viewers exactly who he was. He would have been 111 in 2026. Number 15. Dana Barron as Audrey Griswold, the teenager trying to hold her dignity together across one of cinema's most spectacularly disastrous family vacations. Dana was 17 when the film shot, and she brought a grounded quality to Audrey that kept the character believable even as everything around her descended into complete absurdity. At 60 today, she is one of the few members of the original cast who returned to the franchise directly, reprising the role in the 2003 TV movie National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation 2. She has been in a long-term relationship with film director Michael Vickerman, and the two have a son named Taylor. She remains genuinely connected to the fan community built around this movie, regularly appearing at conventions and keeping the Griswold family legacy alive in a way that feels personal rather than just professional.